Addiction can destroy lives. Addiction is one of the leading causes of a person's downfall and destruction. But addiction isn't always about drugs. There are many other things one can become addicted to. For example, video games. Many companies deliberately design their games to be highly addictive in order to make massive profits. There's also food addiction, where someone develops an uncontrollable craving for food, eating enormous amounts whether they're hungry or not. And would you believe that some companies today are actually focused on making their products addictive? It might sound far-fetched, but many corporations follow this exact strategy to boost sales and profits. This brings us to the story of Ahmed. One day, Ahmed was sitting on his couch, watching TV, when a commercial came on for a new product called Aseeda. The product was shockingly cheap compared to other foods on the market, and it promised to replace many other meals, packed with vitamins, minerals, fiber, and protein. It was advertised as a complete meal that provided all the nutrients a body needed for an entire day. The moment it hit the shelves, Aseeda spread like wildfire. People of all ages were buying it in huge quantities, and it sold out quickly everywhere. Supermarkets and stores began stocking massive amounts, eager to meet demand and make a profit. Nobody suspected anything strange, not even Ahmed, who eventually bought a pack to try it. At first he was disgusted by its mushy texture and unpleasant smell. But once he tasted it, it wasn't as bad as he'd imagined. Ahmed's downstairs neighbor, however, became obsessed with the product. After just one taste, he was hooked, completely addicted, just like a drug addict. Soon, he was doing nothing but eating Aseeda, and within days, his weight skyrocketed. Ahmed started noticing that many people around him were gaining weight at an alarming rate, just like his neighbor, even his co-workers. To avoid falling into the same pattern, Ahmed threw himself into work. He spent all his time glued to his laptop, finishing tasks as quickly as possible so he could go home. One evening, after a long day at work, he arrived home only to realize he had no food left. He decided to head back out to buy groceries, but every shop he entered carried only one product, Aseeda, stacked in massive quantities. It seemed nobody was eating anything else anymore. Eventually, Ahmed found a store that still had a few pasta packs and canned goods left, so he grabbed enough to last him the month. As he walked home, he noticed the streets were eerily empty. The few people he did see were severely overweight, including his once familiar neighbor, who now only appeared every once in a while. Ahmed himself started to notice subtle changes in his own body. He was heavier than before, with prominent veins showing on his face. That night, he made himself a small meal, brewed a cup of tea, and turned on the TV. But every channel was filled with nothing but Aseeda commercials. This time, the ad announced a special prize: a free trip to the Maldives for anyone lucky enough to find a golden ticket hidden inside a pack of Aseeda. A new winner was announced every day. Even though Ahmed didn't particularly like the product, he was desperate for a vacation. Without thinking much, he rushed out and bought 10 packs. To his surprise, he found the golden ticket in the 10th pack. The next day, he proudly went to the studio for a photo shoot as one of the lucky winners, thrilled beyond words. He packed his bags and boarded the prize flight the following morning. The plane was full of winners just like him, all overweight, all constantly eating Aseeda during the flight. But as they approached their destination, Ahmed glanced out the window and realized the plane wasn't landing at a tropical island at all. Instead, they were heading toward a massive industrial complex. Confused, Ahmed grew uneasy. Once they landed, the passengers were herded off the plane in a single file, walking like prisoners. Sensing danger, Ahmed seized a chance to slip away and hid inside a building. He quickly realized where he was: the Aseeda manufacturing plant. The place was littered with empty product packaging, and from a nearby window, Ahmed saw lines of people being led toward another building. Suddenly, gunshots echoed through the air. Terrified, he sprinted toward the sound and froze at the sight that awaited him. Ahmed discovered the horrifying truth. Aseeda was being made from the bodies of the winners. They weren't flying people to paradise. They were luring them to their deaths. Shocked and sickened, Ahmed filmed everything on his phone and uploaded the footage to social media, hoping to expose the truth. But his efforts were cut short. A man appeared, spotting Ahmed. "What are you doing here? You're clearly not one of our addicts. No matter, you'll still be useful." The man pulled out a gun and shot Ahmed on the spot. Ahmed's body was dragged away to be processed into Aseeda, just like all the others. Within moments, the video Ahmed had uploaded was deleted. To this day, people continue eating Aseeda, unaware of its deadly origins or the fact that their numbers are quietly dwindling. It was all part of a sinister plan to wipe out humanity. The ghost who loved a child. Throughout history, stories have circulated about spirits and their strange connections to children. Some claim dark entities seek out children for rituals, while others believe spirits are simply drawn to their innocence. This is the story of Rehab. Rehab was 6 years old when the encounters began. She slept in her own room on a bunk bed. Her brother disliked sleeping alone, so he stayed in their parents' room, leaving Rehab to sleep by herself, a fact she had grown used to. But one night, before she even closed her eyes, her heart started racing. An overwhelming sense of fear crept over her without reason. Within 10 minutes, she drifted into an uneasy sleep. Not long after, she woke up shivering. Her body trembled from the cold, but moments later the air turned strangely warm. Sweat beaded on her forehead, and her breathing grew labored. She quickly opened her eyes, feeling as though someone was watching her. Terrified, she scanned the room but saw nothing. She switched on her bedside lamp shaped like a teddy bear, hoping to calm herself, and lay back down. Yet as soon as she closed her eyes, she felt a soft hand gently patting her shoulder. Rehab bolted upright, but again, the room was empty. Convinced it was her imagination, she returned to bed, this time hiding under the blanket. But the heat returned, followed by the same gentle patting. Through the fabric of her blanket, she saw the outline of a hand. Rehab assumed it was her mother's hand and, comforted by the thought, fell asleep. The next morning, she asked her mother if she had checked on her during the night. Her mother, surprised, said she hadn't left her room at all. She had been sick and asleep the entire evening. Rehab stayed silent, too scared to tell her what had happened. But the nightly visits didn't stop. For 12 long years, the mysterious hand would pat her shoulder at night. Eventually, Rehab could no longer keep it to herself and told her mother everything. This time, her mother revealed a chilling truth. Before they moved in, a young woman had lived in that house with her husband. She had always dreamed of having children, but due to medical issues, she could never conceive. When her husband found out, he divorced her and left. Heartbroken, the woman took her own life. Suddenly, everything made sense to Rehab. The spirit of that woman had been visiting her for years, not to harm her, but to comfort her, as if she were the daughter she never had.